Have you ever walked into a room and instantly wondered what a man's greeting really meant? Like, was it just polite? Was it friendly? Or was there something deeper, something his words didn't say, but his energy couldn't hide? Because here's the truth that almost no one talks about. Most people in the US today are starving for clarity in their connections. We're tired of mixed signals, tired of overthinking every hey, tired of trying to decode a man's intentions like it's some emotional puzzle we're supposed to magically solve. And yet, the way a man greets you, that first moment he sees you, might be the most honest he ever is. Yesterday, while studying the psychology of attachment and micro-expressions, something became crystal clear to me. A man's greeting is the one moment his guard drops before he has a chance to control it. That first second reveals everything: his desire, his excitement, his nervousness, his fear of losing you. All of it shows up right there in the greeting. And that's what today's video is about. Not the fairy tale signs, not the vague cliches, but the real psychological patterns men show when they're secretly crazy about you. So if you've ever wondered, does he feel something for me or am I imagining it? Stay with me. Because in this video, I'm going to show you 6 greetings that almost always mean a man is completely, undeniably, deeply into you. And here's my promise. If you watch until the end, you'll never question a man's greeting again because you'll know exactly what it reveals about his feelings for you. Now, take a breath, get comfortable. Let's decode the truth together. When a man lights up the moment he sees you, it's not just excitement, it's an emotional reflex. He can't hide, even if he tries. That spark in his eyes, that instant lift in his posture, that unconscious softening of his face, all of it is the result of his nervous system recognizing someone who matters to him. Most people don't realize this, but attraction isn't loud at first, it's subtle. It shows up in micro expressions our brain releases before our logic has time to filter them. And when a man is crazy about you, his whole body betrays him in that first second. It's like his internal world says your name before his mouth does. His mood might shift. His energy might rise. His presence might suddenly sharpen, not because he planned it, but because your presence hits him emotionally before he can consciously react. This kind of lighting up isn't the same as friendliness. It's not the polite smile he gives a coworker or the social grin he flashes out of habit. This is deeper. When he sees you, his eyes actually change. There's more warmth, more focus, a kind of involuntary softness that tells you he genuinely feels something. His attention locks onto you a little too quickly, a little too eagerly. His face may brighten in a way he never shows anyone else. And even if he tries to act cool, that initial spark gives him away. What makes this so powerful is that these reactions are biologically honest. They aren't rehearsed, strategized, or calculated. They're emotional truths that slip through in the first half second before insecurity, fear, or overthinking can mask them. You might notice his entire demeanor shift. Maybe he straightens up subconsciously, wanting to look his best in front of you. Maybe he fidgets slightly because your presence awakens a mix of excitement and nervousness. Maybe his voice gets gentler, deeper, or unexpectedly warm. These subtle changes aren't random. They're signs of emotional investment. They reveal that he doesn't just like you, he anticipates you. You're not simply another person entering a room. You're the person who changes his internal weather. And the more consistently he lights up when he sees you, the clearer the truth becomes. You bring him into a better emotional state. You make him feel something he wants to feel again and again. But here's the deeper psychology. When a man is crazy about you, he doesn't just light up because of who you are. He lights up because of who he becomes around you. He feels more alive, more hopeful, more like himself. That glow is the emotional relief of being near someone who feels safe, someone who feels meaningful, someone he subconsciously wants to be close to. This is why he might greet you with a kind of tenderness or excitement that he never shows anyone else. And often, he doesn't even realize he's doing it. You're witnessing a window into his heart before his mind wakes up enough to guard it. But here's the thing, people rarely acknowledge that spark can reveal something even more telling and even more intimate in the way he greets you next. Because sometimes what he does in the first second is powerful, but what he does in the next 3 seconds, that's where the truth slips out even further. And this next greeting, the next sign, is one that most people completely overlook, even though it's just as revealing, if not more. So pay very close attention, because if a man does this right after lighting up when he sees you, the feelings run even deeper than you think. When a man says your name in a warm, different way, it's one of the clearest emotional giveaways he has, because names are deeply personal, and the way someone speaks them is rarely accidental. Most people say your name out of habit or politeness. But when a man has feelings for you, your name becomes something he feels, not just something he uses. There's a shift in tone, in softness, in the emotional weight behind it. It's almost like he's tasting the name, letting it linger on his tongue a second longer than normal. He doesn't rush it. He doesn't flatten it. He savors it. Because your name, to him, carries emotion, memory, and meaning. And he can't hide that in his voice. There's a warmth that comes through, a slight smile hiding inside the syllables, an affectionate lift at the end, or a deeper, slower way of saying it, like he's grounding himself in your presence. Sometimes his voice drops just a little, almost unconsciously, because saying your name activates a vulnerable part of him. Or maybe it softens, like he's letting you into a more intimate version of himself. That warmth isn't performance, it's exposure. It's his heart peeking through the smallest detail, revealing that you're not just another person in the room, you're the person he feels connected to. And names reveal connection far more honestly than greetings ever do. You may notice he uses your name more than he needs to. Not excessively, not in a forced way, but in a way that tells you he likes how it feels to speak it out loud. He might say it when he greets you, say it during conversation, or even say it gently when he's trying to get your attention in a crowded room. Every time he says it, there's an emotion behind it: admiration, fondness, curiosity, even a touch of nervous excitement. It's the emotional signature in his tone that gives him away. And what's even more revealing is that his voice shifts differently with your name than with anyone else's. There's an emotional fingerprint in it that only shows up for you. And here's the psychological depth most people never notice. When someone is emotionally drawn to you, your name becomes a safe place for them, a grounding point, a small emotional anchor. That's why he says it with warmth. It's not the name itself, it's the feeling he's attached to the person behind it. His voice wraps around your name more gently because whether he realizes it or not, he's trying to communicate connection without risking rejection. Tone is the place where affection hides when words are too risky. And his tone tells a story he hasn't said out loud yet. But pay close attention to this subtle detail. When he's attracted to you, he doesn't just say your name warmly, he says it differently. Different than he says other people's names. Different than he used to say your name before feelings started growing. And different than he says your name when other people are around. That vocal shift is one of the most honest signs that his heart is involved. Because people can control their words, but they cannot fully control their tone when emotion is attached. Still, there's something even more revealing than the tone he uses when he says your name. Something most people overlook because it happens so quickly and so naturally that it's easy to miss. It's not what he says, and it's not even the warmth in his voice. It's a tiny greeting habit that slips out when his feelings are strongest, one that exposes just how important you are to him without him ever meaning to. And witnessing this next sign is like catching a man's heart, speaking before his mind can quiet it. So pay attention, because if he does this right after saying your name in that special way, the feelings go far deeper than he's ever admitted. When a man's voice gets softer or deeper when he greets you, it's one of the most instinctive signs of attraction and emotional investment, because voices don't shift without a reason. Our tone is controlled by the nervous system, not logic. So when a man sees you and his voice changes, it's his body responding to emotion before he can consciously regulate it. A softer voice often signals vulnerability, affection, or a desire to appear gentle and safe around you. A deeper voice, on the other hand, signals attraction, confidence, or the subconscious urge to impress you without seeming like he's trying. In both cases, what you're hearing is his emotional truth slipping into the way he speaks. You might notice his greeting sounds different from how he speaks to anyone else. With you, there's a warmth woven into the sound, a quietness that feels intentional even though it isn't, or a slow, slightly lower tone that tells you he's trying to connect on a deeper level. When he likes you, his voice naturally softens because you matter to him. You're not just another interaction. You're someone he doesn't want to overwhelm or scare off. He wants his presence to feel comforting, almost inviting. And when his voice gets deeper, that's biology talking. Men instinctively drop their vocal tone around someone they're attracted to because it's one of the oldest unconscious mating signals humans have. It's subtle, but it's powerful. A deeper voice is his instinctive way of showing desire and grounding himself emotionally. And here's what most people don't realize. A man may not even be aware his voice is changing. He's not choosing to sound softer or deeper. He's reacting to the emotional charge you bring into his environment. Think about how some people speak differently when they're around a baby, gentle, soothing, safe. Or how someone automatically deepens their voice when they're around someone they want to impress. These shifts happen without conscious effort. So when you hear that subtle tone change from him, you're witnessing a moment where his emotions bypass his guard and reveal themselves in sound. This shift is even more revealing when it's consistent. If every time he greets you, his tone drops slightly, or there's a softness that only appears when he talks to you, that's emotional attachment. It means he's not just attracted to you, he's attuned to you. His body reacts to your presence in a way he cannot fully control. His voice becomes a mirror of how he feels, calmer, warmer, more intentional. He may speak more slowly, enunciate more clearly, or even say less because his feelings pull him into a quieter, more focused state. This is emotional sincerity in its purest form. But what's even more important is what happens right after his voice shifts. Does he lean in a little closer when he greets you? Does his body angle towards you before he can catch himself? Because the voice tells you about his attraction, but his body language in those first seconds tells you about his emotional openness and desire to connect further. And this next greeting, this next sign, is one people almost always overlook, even though it's one of the strongest subconscious signals a man gives when he's deeply interested. If you notice this next shift right after the change in his voice, you're not just dealing with a man who likes you, you're dealing with a man who feels drawn to you in a way he can't fully hide. When a man rushes to greet you first, it reveals something his words might never admit. You are a priority in his emotional world. Most people greet whoever happens to be closest or whoever speaks first. But when a man goes out of his way to get to you, when he crosses the room faster than anyone else, when he breaks off another conversation mid-sentence just to say hi, when he spots you and moves toward you immediately, that's intentional. That's instinct. That's attraction rushing through him so quickly, he doesn't even pause to question it. He wants to close the distance between you, both physically and emotionally, the moment he gets the chance. This urgency isn't the loud, dramatic kind. It's subtle but powerful. It shows up in how his feet start moving before he even fully processes it, how his eyes stay locked on you as he approaches, how his body naturally angles your way long before he actually reaches you. People don't chase what they're indifferent about. And a man doesn't rush towards someone unless his heart pulls him there. What makes this sign so genuine is the spontaneity of it. It's not rehearsed. It's not strategic. It's the kind of movement that happens when excitement overrides hesitation. His guard drops, his instincts take over, and suddenly all he wants is to be near you. Pay attention to how he behaves when he's in a group. Does he subtly drift toward you even when he's trying to play it cool? Does he abandon the comfortable center of the crowd just to greet you at the edge of the room? That's because his attention naturally gravitates toward you. You spark something in him, curiosity, desire, comfort, or even nervous adrenaline. Men don't rush toward stress. They rush toward what feels emotionally magnetic. And when he chooses you first, it means you're not just someone he enjoys, you're someone he feels drawn to. Someone he hopes to impress or connect with the moment he gets the chance. There's also a protective instinct hidden in this behavior. When a man cares about you, even secretly, he wants to establish connection as soon as you show up. It's his way of saying, without words, I see you, I'm glad you're here, or even, you matter to me. That immediate greeting is his attempt to claim a small emotional space with you before the world distracts either of you. It's almost like he doesn't want to miss the chance to feel close to you, even if only for a moment. And whether he realizes it or not, that urgency says far more than a casual hello ever could. And yet, the real depth of this sign shows up in what happens right after he reaches you. Does he linger? Does he hesitate before walking away? Does he seem to stall for a second, as if he's hoping you'll give him a reason to stay longer? These micro delays reveal emotional investment. Because a man may rush toward you out of attraction, but he lingers because he feels something deeper, comfort, connection, or an increasing emotional attachment he isn't ready to say out loud. But here's the subtle detail most people miss. After he rushes to greet you, watch how his behavior shifts when other people join the interaction. Does he stay closer to you than necessary? Does he subtly position himself so he's still facing you? Because that tells you he isn't just rushing out of politeness, he's rushing out of desire. And that desire becomes even more obvious in the next type of greeting, one that almost no one recognizes because it blends into conversation so easily. Yet it reveals one of the strongest subconscious signs of genuine interest. So pay close attention, because if a man does this next thing consistently, it means his feelings for you go much deeper than a simple hello. When a man greets you with inside jokes, it means he's not just acknowledging your presence, he's acknowledging the connection the two of you share. Inside jokes don't form accidentally. They are built through shared moments, subtle glances, repeated phrases, and experiences that only the two of you truly understand. When he chooses to greet you with one of them, he's sending a quiet but unmistakable message. What we have is different. What we have is ours. And that is one of the most intimate emotional signals a man can give without ever confessing how he feels. The use of inside jokes is his way of closing the emotional distance instantly. Instead of a standard hi or a simple hey, he reaches for something personal, something meaningful, something that brings you both back into the private world you've built together, no matter how small or silly it might seem. That tiny spark of shared humor becomes a bridge between your two minds. It tells you that he remembers, he pays attention, and he values the moments you've created together. Even if he tries to hide his feelings in other ways, this kind of greeting betrays him every time. Because a man might greet anyone with politeness, but he only greets someone he cares about with memories. There's also a psychological depth to this behavior that most people overlook. Inside jokes are a form of emotional anchoring. They trigger the feelings associated with the original moment, the laughter, the comfort, the chemistry, the sense of being understood. So when he uses them in his greeting, he's trying to recreate that emotional closeness instantly. It's his way of saying, I want us to be back in that energy again. And the beautiful part is that he does this without thinking. It's not a tactic. It's not a strategy. It's an emotional reflex rooted in affection and familiarity. You don't build inside jokes with someone you're indifferent about. You build them with someone who occupies mental space even when they're not around. Pay attention to how he delivers these jokes. Does he smile differently when he uses them? Does he lean in slightly, like he's sharing a secret? Does he pause for your reaction with a hopeful look, even if subtle? That hesitation, that anticipation, that's emotion. He wants not just to greet you, he wants to connect with you. He wants to recreate the comfort the two of you share. And in that moment, it's like the rest of the room fades and he's speaking to you in a language only the two of you understand. That's intimacy disguised as humor. Inside jokes are also his way of testing emotional safety. By referencing something only the two of you share, he is checking if you still feel connected, if you still remember, if you still enjoy the bond as much as he does. And the truth is, men don't test emotional connections unless the connection matters to them. This is his way of saying, I hope we're still us. And the more he uses these little private greetings, the clearer it becomes that he doesn't just enjoy you, he feels close to you in a way he may not feel with anyone else in his life. But here's where things get even more revealing. Inside jokes often show up in his greetings when he's trying to hide a growing attachment. Humor becomes the safe place he uses to express affection without risking vulnerability. He can laugh, tease, and create a moment with you all while avoiding the deeper truth underneath, that he thinks about you more than he admits. And while everyone else might hear just a joke, you can feel the warmth behind it, the familiarity, the quiet longing for connection. And yet, as powerful as inside jokes are, there's a particular greeting habit that reveals an even deeper level of emotional interest, one that blends warmth with curiosity and affection with genuine investment. It's a sign most people overlook because it sounds so simple, but psychologically, it carries more emotional weight than almost anything else a man can do. And when he greets you this way, it exposes not just his attraction, but his desire to truly know you. So listen carefully, because if a man does this next thing, his feelings run far deeper than playful jokes. When a man greets you with genuine curiosity, it means he isn't just acknowledging that you showed up, he's emotionally leaning in the moment you arrive. This curiosity isn't the generic, "how are you?" people throw around out of habit. It's deeper, it's intentional, it's rooted in a real desire to understand your world, your feelings, your day, your mind. He's not asking questions to fill space. He's asking because something in him wants to feel closer to you. And when a man is genuinely curious, his greeting becomes less about politeness and more about connection. You can hear it in the way his voice tightens slightly with anticipation, in the way his eyes soften as he waits for your response, in the way his whole attention seems to narrow in on you and only you. Curiosity is one of the strongest psychological indicators of emotional attraction. People don't try to understand what they don't value. And when a man values you, even quietly, his instinct is to pull more of your inner world toward him. That's why his greeting often starts with a specific question, not just a shallow hey, but something like, "How did that thing go?" Or "You look different today, what happened?" Or "I've been wondering how you've been." These questions show that he didn't just remember the last conversation, you stayed in his mind long after it ended. He noticed the details, he held on to them. And now he's picking up the thread as if the space between your last meeting and this one never really existed. This kind of curiosity also reveals that he feels emotionally safe with you, safe enough to be genuinely interested instead of detached. There's a vulnerability in caring about someone's internal world because it means your feelings are involved. He risks disappointment. He risks caring too much. He risks wanting more, yet he still leans in. He still asks. He still tries. That's what separates genuine curiosity from casual friendliness. A man who barely notices you won't remember your stories. A man who sees you as an option won't ask about your day with warmth. But a man who feels drawn to you, he'll greet you like your life actually matters to him. And pay attention to what happens in his eyes when he asks you something. Curiosity changes a man's gaze. It becomes steadier, softer, and more present. He listens differently. He reacts differently. He absorbs your words like they have meaning. And that's because to him, they do. Your emotions matter to him. Your happiness matters. Your struggles matter. That investment is emotional, not intellectual. Curiosity is just the surface level behavior you can see, but underneath it lies affection, admiration, concern, and the quiet hope that you'll let him into your world a little more each time. What's even more telling is how long he stays in that curious space. Some people ask one question and immediately shift back into their own lives. But he isn't like that. When he greets you, his curiosity pulls him into a deeper interaction. He might follow your answer with another question, or a thoughtful comment, or a moment of silence where he's genuinely thinking about what you said. He's not trying to impress you, he's trying to understand you. And understanding is one of the purest forms of emotional intimacy. But here's the part most people never pay attention to. Curiosity often signals something else, something deeper, something more instinctive. When a man is drawn to you, curiosity doesn't just show up in his words. It shows up in his body, the angle he stands at, the way he leans in, how he turns his head just slightly to catch every word you say. And this physical shift, this subconscious pull toward your energy is one of the strongest, most primal signs of attraction, especially when it appears in the greeting itself. And if you see this next sign right after his curious questions, You're not dealing with casual interest anymore. You're dealing with a man whose feelings are far more serious than he's letting on. When you put all of these greetings together, a powerful truth begins to reveal itself. A man who is crazy about you doesn't hide it in grand gestures. He shows it in the smallest moments. The light in his eyes, the warmth in his tone, the way he rushes toward you, the inside jokes he saves just for you, the curiosity that pulls him closer, none of that is an accident. These aren't random behaviors. They are emotional fingerprints, unfiltered, unedited, uncontrollable signs of how deeply you matter to him. And maybe for the first time, you can finally stop overthinking the way he says, hey, because now you know what to look for. You know what his energy reveals before his words ever do. You know, the difference between politeness and presence, between casual interest and quiet devotion. Most people go through life trying to decode mixed signals, trying to force clarity out of confusion. But you don't have to, not anymore. Because now you've seen how attraction speaks in the language of greeting, how a man's true feelings slip out in those first few seconds before he can compose himself. You've learned to recognize the spark in his face, the softness in his voice, the urgency in his steps, the intimacy of shared humor, the hunger behind his questions. Every one of these is a doorway into his heart. And if a man shows even a few of these signs, he's not just into you, he's already invested. He's already imagining a deeper connection. He's already feeling something he might not even be ready to put into words. But now you can see it clearly, confidently, without doubting yourself. Because that was the promise. If you watch this video through to the end, you'd never question a man's greeting again. You'd understand exactly what it means.